All right. So I'm going to kick off the Caroline County Broadband Advisory Committee meeting for December 15th, 2025. We have the agenda before us. This was sent out earlier. Are there any amendments to the agenda from anybody?
Jason?
Yes, sir.
Due to the amount of stuff that we have to cover in items 2 and below, I would move that we just strike item 1, review of the projects, and focus on 23, if that's agreeable.
I'm in agreement. Does anybody have any objections to that?
No.
All right. So moved. We'll strike number 1. All right. Hearing no anything other than that, we will move on into old business and I guess go straight into the 2023 updates.
All right. Let's see if we can get this kicked off here.
I'll stop sharing so that way you can take it over.
Well, let's see here. We'll try this again.
You got your calendar.
All right, I've got that now. All right. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll go ahead and kick it off. My name is David Sadler. I'm the Director of Information Technology for Caroline County, as well as the Project Manager for the county for VATI 23. This evening, we'll share the latest area to be released, as well as the remaining timeline throughout the end of the project. We'll try to give as much of a description of these areas as possible, just so to help the residents identify which area they live in. I would say that as we go through these areas and we describe them, you may want to, if you're listening this evening or if you joined us in the meeting, you may want to make a note of which area you actually live in, because that's how we announce as areas become open. So if you know which area you live in, you don't necessarily have to be able to identify it on a map. Just listen for the area number. So as of late this afternoon, GCV 15 has now been released. So this is just a very late break-in area. GCV 15. Residents living in this area that's depicted on the map on your screen, you can call Reggie Spivey. He is a dedicated sales rep for BreezeLine Sales for this project. His number is 410-490-6082. Now, GCV 15 extends from Doggett's Fork Road and the Route 301 intersection south on 301 to just north of Frog Level. It includes Southern Sunshine Road, Schuman's Road, west to Mount Vernon Church Road. So that's the general area that we're talking about. Kind of a small area, but that would indicate that it's a fairly good population density. So the more houses you have per mile, the smaller the areas actually are on the map. So in total, these are the total areas that have been released for VATI 23 East project. GCRO 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, GCV 13, 15, and 16 are all open for sale. If you live in any area that's indicated in the green areas on this map, you can now call Reggie Spivey, BreezeLine Sales, at 410-490-6082. Just to give a description, GCR01 is the area in the Central Point area. GCR02 covers the area around Alps. GCR03 and GCR04 encompass locations north of Sparta. GCR05 and GCR07 includes areas west of Sparta. GCR06 includes properties located on or near Mattaponi Trail. GCV 13 covers the areas around the Lewis Moore Sawmill and includes Elsinore Subdivision. GCV 15 covers an area south of Doggett's Fork Road on 301 to just north of Frog Level and west on Frog Level Road to Mount Vernon Church Road. GCV 16 closely surrounds the Frog Level area and out Frog Level Road. Caroline County, the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development, and Breezeline have now expanded service to over 1,389 previously unserved addresses in this project alone. If you combine this with the project involving Verizon in Western Carolina and the earlier VADI 21 project, the total is 2,704 previously unserved locations are now being served or have an internet connection that's available. So we'll go ahead through the projections for the rest of the project. So if you're not green yet, you're still waiting to get hooked up, we'll cover your areas now. So the last area that was projected to be completed by the end of December would be GCV 11, as you see on the map. GCV 11 includes Moncure Road to the west near Kamek Drive, portions of Rogers and Clark Boulevard east of the intersection of Moncure, all the way to Panola Road, Moores Mill Road, to just south of McBryant, Route 301 from Moores Mill Road north to Sparta Road. So that's a pretty large area. That area is scheduled, and if everything remains on schedule, it's projected to be released by the end of this month. Current projections for GCV 17. GCV 17 is projected, if everything stays on schedule, to be released by the end of January. GCV 17 includes Route 600, Frog Level Road, just east of the intersection of Lewis Moore Road, east all the way to the King William County line, Mount Vernon Church Road to the north, all the way to Reedy Mill Road, and the Edgar Road to the south to the county line. Current projections for GCV 14 is to be completed by the end of February 25. GCV 14 covers an area east of Caroline Pines on Ruther Glen Road, portions of Signboard Road, north of that intersection with Ruther Glen Road, and south all the way to Route 30, as well as Burris Lane east of Signboard to just west of 301. So this is the areas that's included in GCV 14. If we remain on schedule, they're scheduled to be released by the end of February. Current projections for GCV 8, 9, and 10 are to be released by March of 2025. Now, GCV 8, 9, and 10 covers Route 30 all the way from the Hanover County line at the State Fair, east all the way to the King William County line, Route 301 at Route 30 intersection, south on 301 to the Hanover County line, and the side roads including Courtney Road, Meadow Farm Road, Sadie Lane, Quash Lane, and Mount Gideon. There may be some other smaller roads. We're trying to hit the larger roads just so everyone will have a good idea of what we're talking if you can't identify it on the map. So again, those 3 areas by the end of March 2025, if everything remains on schedule. It is possible that some of these areas may release ahead of that. So the best way to know is to stay tuned, like and subscribe on the to the YouTube channel, so you'll get a notification as soon as an area is released.
Shouldn't that be March of 2026, David?
It should be. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. So that would be by the end of March of 2026. Otherwise, we'd be real late already. And this is April of 2026. GCV 12. GCV 12 is an area over surrounding McBryant Corner. It's a pretty large area. Again, larger areas indicate that the population density is lower, so it's a pretty large area. It runs over to the railroad tracks near MC Dean, all the way back over around St. Paul's Church, and back over to Kemp Corner. So that area would be April 2026, not 2025. Looks like I missed every one of them, Mr. Thomas. GCV 18, 19, and 20. So again, this is moving from the southern half of the project into the northern part of the project. These 3 areas are projected to complete by the end of May of 2026. GCV 18, 19, and 20 includes Page Road, east of Edge Hill Academy Road, back to Route 95 to the west, and areas to, south. Ladysmith Road from 95 east to Route 207, Bull Church Road to the north and south of Ladysmith Road, and previously unserved portions of Golensville Road. GCV 21, 22, 23, and 24 are projected to complete by the end of July 26. This is several large areas, probably most commonly referred to as the Woodford area, although Woodford is a large area just like Ruther Glen, but most of these fall within the Woodford Valley. It includes Guinea, Stonewall Jackson Road, Eastern Page Road, or Western Page Road, Vilboro, Claiborne Crossing, north to the Spotsylvania County line. So again, if everything remains on schedule, looking at July of 2026 for completion of this area. GCV 25 and 26 are projected to complete by the end of August of 2026. Once these 2 areas complete, that will complete the entire project. Our next broadband update is scheduled for Monday, January the 19th at 7 p.m. Additional areas may be released prior to this date. If they are, they will be announced as a broadband update on the YouTube channel. And so like and subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you're sure to get those updates as those areas release. If an area drops before the next meeting, we will come out with an immediate release. And then behind that, it will end up on the county website as well. So if you have any questions, that gives a pretty good timeline of where we go from here and what the timeline looks like throughout the rest of the project. Thanks to Mr. Thomas, we were able to catch those 25s. The majority of the presentation should have been 26. So, Jason, if you got the agenda, do you want to share that again?
I will share it. Give me 1 second. PowerPoint.
And I'll turn it back over to you, sir.
Okay. So any questions on the 2023 Update East?
Jason, I do have one more point that I would like to add. We're working to identify accurately the number of private drives and long drives that are marked private throughout the project. We're working through that list of 1,389 right now. As each area drops, we're working to identify the long drives. I'm hoping to have a list both on the website and ready for this next update that we have on this channel of specific addresses that have a connection that's built to them and it's available to them, but they will need to contact BreezeLine to make sure that permissions to build up that long driveway are obtained. Otherwise, if BreezeLine gets to your driveway or your private road and there's a no trespassing sign or private drive sign at the end of it, they cannot build up that road without permission of the property owners along the road to build. So at that, we're going to reach out. We're working to identify the addresses accurately. And then once we're able to do that, the county will actually send a letter to the addresses that we have on file, notifying them that they need to contact BreezeLine. If they want a connection, they'll have to work through the right-of-ways. Otherwise, about 12 months after the end of the project, once the project wraps up, 12 months after the end of that, those addresses will have to be removed from the grant because DHCD is telling us that 12 months is standard. Once it's removed from the grant, if you decide, say, 3 years from now, that you want a connection and you live on one of those long private drives, it could cost substantially to build back down that road. So it's going to be very important. That's the reason why we will send individual letters to people that live on those roads. If you already know that you live on one of those roads, you can reach out to that number that we gave previously for Reggie Spivey and notify him that you live on a private drive and you want to work through the permissions to get that drive built. It's our recommendation that you do that, even if you're unsure whether you're going to want a BreezeLine connection down the road. If you don't know or you're not certain, go ahead and work through the permissions and get the plant built while it's under the grant so that it won't cost you, your neighbors, or future homeowners or future owners of the home that you're living in a substantial amount of money to get connected. Any questions about that? Again, that's my next goal. That's what I'm working through now is that list, working with BreezeLine to make sure that we have that list as accurate as possible, and then we'll send out actual letters to those homeowners. That's it for the project updates.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on that? All right. If not, I'm going to stop sharing that and I am going to share out. I will take over the installation of BreezeLine. Let me know if you guys can see that and it looks good.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm going to leave it in this mode just so that way it makes it easier to read. Because otherwise my larger monitor makes it harder to read. So, my name is Jason Barlow. I just recently got connected to BreezeLine. David, I was looking back at some of our previous notes that I keep on my iPad, and I was holding that up, but it's part of the Aurora Borealis now. And our very first meeting was January 20th, 2021, when we actually started this committee and started working towards it. So it's been almost 5 years since we started this project, and we are finally starting to see it connect and, click down here in the frog level area too, and getting people turned on and installed. So that's really good. I'm going to walk through the installation process that I went through, and just so that way people have an understanding of what to expect. And this will also cover both residential and commercial. I did not add the telephone number for, I think it's Mr. Deck, into this, so we'll have to add his number into it, just so that way it's out there.
If we do have any businesses that need to connect, just let us know, and we can make sure, hit that broadband inquiry on the website. We'll get you his number. Sorry, okay. Jason, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're fine. Actually, I am going to add it real quick, just so that way we have it. I've got it in my phone, just so that way we can have it in there. So I'll update that slide when we get there. So the purpose of this is to provide a clear step-by-step overview of the BreezeLine fiber connection process for Caroline County businesses and residents. Explain what to expect on each stage of the construction, because this is a multi-stage process. Clarify any customer responsibilities. I'll go over that. I actually included the text messages that I got from BreezeLine, and help set realistic expectations and timelines for service activation based on my experience. So we'll go to this slide, which I think is, step 0, which is the build out of the infrastructure in the area. These pictures were taken back in January 2025. So we are now in December. So as you can tell, it takes a long time to build out this infrastructure and get everything set in place. We have both overhead and underground. What you're seeing in this picture is an underground installation down Frog Level Road. There is overhead where they attach the power poles and to bring in the service. So this right here is just showing the build out of the infrastructure on this area. A lot of people have been seeing this construction going on for quite some time now, and I do not have any pictures of them actually pulling the fiber through this conduit, but you will see big spools of orange. That is the underground conduit that they run. They then install a pull line, so that way they can easily pull the fiber through that line. And then you will see a spool of black wire or sheathed wire or fiber optic cable that they will pull through that line, which is how you connect out to the internet. So that is step 0, is to build out that infrastructure. Then we go into step 1. David, I did not have the latest map, so I stole your map from your presentation that you gave a couple days ago. And that is the Frog Level Route 600 map that we have here. But step 1 is to look for these updates and announcements that your area is open for sales. As you saw that we just literally dropped this afternoon, that's brand new news to me. I didn't know that we had even dropped that one yet. So that was a nice surprise coming into this meeting. But you will see on YouTube the latest up-to-date information from that. When you see your area highlighted in green like that, and David tells you that we are open for sale, or BreezeLine is open to receive your sale, please give Reggie a telephone call as soon as possible, so that way you can get your installation scheduled and move through this process. As we go through it, it's about a 6-step process, and I'm not obviously step 0 through step 6. So there is a method behind, or there's an overall method that we go through, or that BreezeLine goes through, to get this installed in a timely manner, to make sure everything works together. So this is the main thing, is to keep an eye on this station or this channel to make sure you can identify your area, and once you see it's been released for sales, give Reggie a telephone call. And that is the second thing, or step 2, is to call Reggie. Now, I will add in here, so Reggie is for residential, but John Deck is for commercial, and his telephone number is 443 425 9770. So that is his telephone number that you can reach to do for business. We'll update this on the, I can spell. Still misspelled. There we go. For residential residential customers, call Reggie. For business, call John Deck. When you do that, they will validate that your address is available for sale and set you up an appointment. The current process is they are scheduling 3 weeks out. If you are available for sale, 3 weeks out will be your earliest that you can get an installation date due to the other steps that are going to come after this, because it's not as easy as just coming up and hooking up a modem. You actually have to build out that infrastructure to your house. So that is step 2. Step 3, you will get a text message from BreezeLine. And over here is an example of that text message, basically saying the drop berry for your service is scheduled to be completed in a timely manner.
I did not get that, which is...
You did not get that?
Yeah, I gave him my number, but that maybe I'll check spam. Well, I don't know. Didn't get that.
Yeah, I got this one actually today for another installation that is set up over here at my grandparents' house. So what they ask you to do is they will call Miss Utility to come out and mark the public items like power, if you have public sewage, if you have public water, things of that nature. But inside of here, you will see you are responsible for the location of all private utilities. Examples are dog fences, water sprinklers, septic, water lines, in advance prior to them actually coming out. Now, you will see on the left-hand side of this picture, this is where I marked some water lines that I had, a power line out to my shed that I had. So I just went to, my local hardware store and picked up some red flags so that way I could mark those items so that way they would see that they existed there. So that is step 3. They do say in here, please reach out, and this is in all caps, please reach out to your BreezeLine office if you would like to be present at the time of your drop burial. Now, when they do a drop burial, that is not installing your fiber at your residence. That is installing that orange conduit in the ground. They normally bury that about 6 inches below the ground. So if you want to be available or on site, you can call your local BreezeLine office and let them know that you want to be there at the time of burial. Step 4. This is actually one of the crews that came out and buried the conduit at my house. So you can see they've got the trencher here that they've run to bury from the pole or the utility pole or the pedestal to your house. They will use this trencher to cut through the ground to come all the way up, and then they will direct line bury this orange conduit inside of there with a pull cable, so that way they can easily pull the fiber through the conduit. Again, they put this about 6 inches into the ground for like basically lawn care protection. If you're going through and seeding your lawn and you're aerating it, you won't actually puncture the fiber optic cable. If anything, you would hit the conduit first. After that, step 5 is pulling the fiber. This is where they pull it through the conduit that step 4 actually put into the ground. So from the time of me calling Reggie to schedule my installation to step 4 I called him the day before Thanksgiving, so the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, by Wednesday, the day or the week after Thanksgiving, they were actually coming out to install the conduit at my house. So that I'm trying to pull up my calendar now. So I called them on the 26th, and they came out on the 2nd to bury the conduit at my house. And that included Thanksgiving and the day after Thanksgiving as holidays. So I assume those two don't count as days or work days. They pulled the fiber. They actually came out on a Saturday, which was December 6th, to pull the fiber. So about 3 to 4 days after putting the conduit in the ground, they pulled the fiber through. As you can see, this is a reel of fiber here. They
Is that what you do?
What was that? Mr. Thomas, that was you?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. I thought you had a question.
Well, no, I was just checking on not being called. They transposed my phone number, so sometimes they get the numbers wrong and they'll just show up.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to hit unmute before and I was slow. So I'm done. Thank you.
You're good. This is the spool of fiber that they actually pulled in the ground. They installed on the side of my house this little gray box, which is very similar to like a utility box, but this is where the fiber will actually terminate in, and I have a picture of that later. This is the utility pole that has the fiber actually terminated inside of it. This is the infrastructure that had to be built out that we talked back in step 0. So they had to build this out, and this is actually connecting to that drop and lighting up and then installing the box on the side of the house. So once they do step 5, the crew will mark your house now ready for inside installation. My original installation date was the 17th of December. They had an early cancellation, and so they reached out and sent me a message saying we have a cancellation that we can actually come out on December 12th and install your internet if you would like to install it early. I don't know whether that's a normal thing. I don't know whether they had just a cancellation and they were, just filling the time or, what have you. But my original installation was on December 17th. They bumped it up to December 12th. So I had arranged to be off of work to be at home because I wanted to be here when they installed it. Step 6 is the actual tech installing it outside of my house. So he took it out of that conduit, ran it over to this box, terminated it. It was terminated here already. He ran a line from this box into my crawl space. This is the actual fiber line coming into my house that plugs into the modem. Now, the one thing that the fiber tech did tell me when I was speaking with him, because I spent some time with him in conversation, it would make his job easier and the installation go quicker if you go ahead and take a look around your house now to plan where you would like to have the fiber installed. The one thing that they do not do is they will not fish it, or it is their policy that they will not fish or run that wire between floors. So between your first floor and your second floor, things of that nature. They will run it to your main floor. They will run it either into your crawl space. The tech also says they have run it around the outside of the house if they can't get into the crawl space, and run it and tuck it up underneath like the siding or things like that in order to be able to run it around to a different side of your house. In his case, he ran it, drilled through there into my crawl space and came up the wall to my first floor and actually installed it. You want to look for more of a central location because they do have a wireless modem that comes with it. There's 2 devices. You have a wireless modem, and then you have you have a modem, and then you have a wireless router that will put out your wireless signal or a wired signal inside of your house. If we go down to the next one, this is also still step 6. This is the wireless, or this is the modem that they have installed. which has these lights on top. You have a power, a broadband. I'd have to zoom in on this other one to see what it says. Service and Ethernet. So this is how you would actually hook. This is what converts this fiber signal, which is this line here, into an Ethernet signal or a Cat6 signal that plugs into the back of the modem. This is the actual wireless router that is part of the BreezeLine package that they will install in your house, and they will set up a default wireless network. You can, after the fact, set it to anything you want, set up your password to be whatever you want. And this is the picture of the back of it. As you can see, this is the model. And if I scroll over, this will also, if I can, so this is the model of it right down here, 854-6. And this is what it looks like here, standing up. So that way you can see that. Once the tech was done, this is the internet speed. So I signed up for the 1.5 gigabits per second package. Just so everybody knows, most computer equipment caps out at 1 gigabit. There are special devices that you can get, or higher network cards that you can get to receive and realize that higher speeds, which there are a couple devices in my house that I can realize those speeds. When I walked around with the tech, he told me he had never seen this speed because most people do not have the network equipment to be able to see those and realize those speeds. So just keep that in mind, that if you sign up for 1.5 gigabits and you do not have the special equipment, the most you will usually see is 1 gigabit or 9.
The name of the technology is called multi-gigabit Ethernet.
Multi-gigabit.
Multi-gigabit Ethernet, if you're getting into plans that go beyond 1 gig.
1 gig. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So that is step 6, running it. I'm currently attending this meeting now on BreezeLine. My Starlink is still up and running, but it is my secondary internet for right now. I will be moving that over to a holding plan or a standby plan, so that way I don't have to uninstall the equipment, and I always have it as a backup in case we have any issues. So as you can see, the overall process, the high level, your area must be open for sales before you schedule. The construction crew will call 811 and follow the residential installation steps. They'll pull the fiber into the building and install it and get you up and running. With that, here's the overall high level of it. You will confirm your area is open for sale. Call Reggie or John, depending on whether you are going for business installation. They will give you a date, usually 3 weeks out. They will call and mark your public utilities. You are in charge of marking your private utilities. If you need to mark your private utilities, because 811 will not mark your private utilities. So that is something that the consumer is responsible for. They will pull your conduit from the utility pole or from the pedestal to your house or business. Then they will come out and install the fiber from the pole or inside of the conduit and terminate it on the side of your house. After that, your final installation date, they will come out and do the work. Again, I don't know whether, if they have openings, if they will try and move you up or not. I can't speak to that. I know that they did that they reached out to me and were able to move it up. I was more than happy to try and move it up if they could, and they moved it up to Friday. So that was a good thing. And then your inside tech will visit you, hook up your modem. They also have something called a fiber plate that they will install in your crawl space, which will allow them to convert the outside fiber into your inside fiber, which is that white, smaller fiber cable. So with that, are there any questions that I can answer as far as this part?
We probably should just discuss the situation that Jason Jacobus experienced with his installation, since that may be considered a common issue that may pop up, and then what happens after that as well. But that this was a very, very good presentation, Jason.
Thank you. Jason, would you like to discuss your situation?
Yeah, sure. I changed my headset. Yeah, you can hear me. And I'm glad that you brought up these slides and you took my feedback about the multi-step process, because I think that was my confusion going into this, right? We thought Reggie was the one guy that controlled everything, right? But that's not the case. We knew that there's contractors and they seem to be, independent teams. And David, who would be the best, one that knows end to end? It would be Bernie, and you've been interfacing with him. Is that a correct statement?
Well, Bernie Weeks, who is the Breezeline project construction manager, basically works to build the infrastructure out to the point where they verify that there is sufficient light available for your home, and then he releases your home, and that's where he hands off to Reggie. So
that was step. Really, was that was step 0B in Jason's presentation?
Would that be step 0B, Jason?
Yeah.
Step 0B, yes.
So that's what Bernie kind of hands off once light levels are there and the address is good to go. And that's a good point that everyone should be aware of, that even before your address is released for sale, they have already taken a light level. The data is transferred over the fiber via light. And so prior to them even releasing your address for sale, they have already checked the light level for your particular connection to make sure that the light level is sufficient within the right parameters to be able to carry that signal. So, but once that happens, then Bernie hands it off, opens it up for sale, and then it sets in that pool waiting for customers to call. So you call Reggie. Before we get to your situation, Jacobus, what we should probably let people know is we've had people wonder why we were giving out Reggie's number. Reggie is the dedicated sales rep dedicated to this project. He is familiar with this project in particular. Just know that if you call the 888 number or go online, you're dealing with reps that sell Breezeline up and down the East Coast and into Canada. And some of those projects are coax. So if you order on a coax system, they'll send an installer out with coax. And if he gets there and it's not already installed, then he can drop a temporary line, get you hooked up, and leave. The issue is with fiber, they're not doing that. They don't want to put the fiber in temporarily. They want it to go into conduit to avoid damage. It's not as robust as a piece of coax that can actually lay in a driveway and be driven over. So for that reason, if you deal with the 888 number or go online and place your order, you may get an installer that comes out prior to those steps of the cable, the conduit, and the actual fiber being installed to your home, and they're not going to be able to install. So then they have to leave and reschedule. So that's one situation that we've seen happen. That can be avoided by calling Reggie. Reggie's familiar with this project. He knows how to hand it off to the next person. But then once it's handed off to the next person and they start the work, you may run into another situation. Go ahead, Jacobus, and if you want, tell us
Or how
about.
Can you tell? How about you go over the situation of my neighbor at the corner where if the address is released, but additional engineering
Yes.
work is going to be required? Talk about that one.
So, we got with Bernie today, and again, as I suspected, a lot of it's got to do with the fact that the whole project was designed to go out, to be built with a combination of underground and overhead. For whatever reason, the cost of pole replacement is about 40% higher in Caroline County than it is in King William. Not sure why, but for that reason, the cost of some of these poles is so expensive that it's cheaper for them to go underground. So what they did was, in order to be able to make the numbers and get this project completed in 3 years, which sounds like a long time, but it's really a short, that's a short period of time to build as much infrastructure as they have to build. They built out all of the underground that they had in the plans, and held off on the overhead until they got the numbers back from Rappahannock Electric. Once they got those numbers back from Rappahannock Electric, they had to determine, is it cheaper for us to pay to have the poles replaced or mount on the poles, or is it cheaper for us to go underground? So if they made a decision to go underground, then they had to go back and redesign that portion of the project, because the original plan had them going overhead. Now they're going underground. Sometimes when that happens, your connection where they check the light for your individual house may move from one pedestal to another or be marked incorrectly. So, for example, Jason, one of Jason's neighbors, they came out to do the install, got to the equipment, and it was where they thought they were hooking to, or where by the original plan they had them hooking to a certain pedestal. But now, since it's been redesigned, it's likely that they'll connect somewhere else. So when they got there, they looked at that. It was full. They didn't have anywhere to connect. So now they've got to go back. The other thing that we are seeing is there were a list of addresses that were submitted to the state, and the grant was approved. Well, since that, those numbers were pulled back probably in 21 or 22. There have been new houses popping up. So now all of a sudden, your house may not be in the actual grant, but your house is built, ready to be occupied. So for that reason, they need to add those addresses. So that's where normally that's picked up when you call in and your address doesn't show up. Then they investigate, find out that that address is a new house, it needs to be added. They add it. But then in that situation, it's going to be some redesign and some changes that need to be made in their system to show them where that actual connection is, but they're working to correct that. So just don't, be patient. There's a lot of construction going on. There's been a lot of redesign that was redesigned from overhead to underground. So there's going to be some corrections.
What would be the expected outcome, right? You have an install date. Are you going to get an updated text message that the dates have been changed due to this engineering work, or how should they stay updated?
Well, your neighbor reached out to me, and I've got her number and her contact information. I'm working with Bernie now. As soon as we figure out what has to be done to make that connection, then I'll reach out to her and let her know what's going on. But it's not like she's going to have to stop or they're not going to be able to do the work. It's just we've got to locate the port, correct the engineering drawings, and make sure that port, or identify in the plans so that when an installer comes out, he knows where he's going to connect to, and get that corrected. So that's happened a couple of times in the project. Every time that it's happened, it's because it was an area that was supposed to be overhead and then switched to underground, and the engineering drawings have to be updated to reflect that. So there is a port already identified for her with light on it. It's just a matter of being able to communicate that with the installer. So that's not anything that's going to happen very often. What we have seen twice now with yours is another issue. If you want to talk about your other issue a little bit.
Yeah, so I had my install date scheduled, and then the step 2 is the trenching to the house. So this was performed for my house and my 2 neighbors' house. And on this run, you can see them. Is it showing well?
Yes.
Yeah. I guess they're pulling the conduit at the same time that it is doing the trenching. Is that how this works? Or do they put the orange in after the whole? I didn't get on it closely.
But I can't really tell whether they're pulling it. If they have an open trench, they may go back and pull it later. But sometimes they are they trenching yours, or are they using a plow?
It's like a plow thing.
Okay, so they are.
It's that ditch witch thing. Yeah.
Yeah, if they're plowing your conduit in, then they're definitely pulling it at the time, because what they do is they'll go down with it looks like a straight plow blade that pushes the conduit down in the ground. And then basically when they're done, the conduit's already there. They just cover up that little area that the trench broke open.
Mm.
But in your situation,
it was apparently it was kinked. So that's the next day. Well, they performed this work, and then it started snowing, so they left, and they left it with the end like this, right, with the string to pull the fiber through. And when that gentleman came to pull the fiber through, it got hung in the conduit, so they had to stop the work, ask for the trench team, ditch witch team to come back and resolve this issue. They believe it's kink somewhere, but they don't know where. So definitely, I haven't gotten any text messages, so maybe I have the wrong phone number in there, or I just don't get any messages about this and any change in the plan. But leading me to wonder what's going on.
So your install date for the
Wednesday
guy that did the
17th.
last step is Wednesday the 17th.
Mm-hmm.
And the crew that came out to pull the fiber through there and realized that the conduit was kinked.
Correct.
When did that happen? On Saturday?
That was last Thursday?
I think it was Thursday when you and I talked.
Yeah, because Wednesday. Yeah, let's see. I should have it here.
Now, in Jason's situation,
Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah, so in Jason's situation, it's important to realize that so he has this install coming up, but step 4, I guess it is. Is that right, Jason? 3 and 4 haven't been completed. So what's going to happen is if they don't come out to correct the problem when the installer, who is a different crew and a different contractor, gets there, he's not going to be able to install it, because again, they're not doing temporary fiber drops. So when he gets there to install, he's expecting to have that termination box on the outside of the house. It's not there. So now all of a sudden he can't do his job and he'll leave. If you have any issues when they get there to pull the fiber through, then you should immediately reach back out to your sales rep and let them know so that they can schedule. Don't expect the fiber installer crew to notify the trenching people that it didn't happen. Right. They should, in a proper situation, that's the way it would happen, but just don't take it for granted. I would notify the sales rep immediately so that he can work to resolve it. So in your situation, I think Jason was able to reach out, make contact, and they're coming back out prior to Wednesday, hopefully, to get that conduit reburied or the issue corrected, correct?
Yes.
So if that all happens, your install will go on, as planned on the day that they were originally set up. So
yes.
I've had 2 reports of this exact situation happening where the conduit was either stretched or kinked. it happens sometimes, well, actually 3. If that plow stretches the conduit instead of burying it, it can pinch the conduit off. So just know that it's a 0 through 6 that Jason outlined. And if anything happens in any of those earlier steps, then the number 6 is not going to happen on schedule. But they seem to be pretty responsive about coming out correcting the issue. So hopefully, Jason, they can get out and rebury that conduit. Now there's 3 or 4 houses right next to you. Now, did they get install dates on the same day or
Same day? Yep.
So hopefully they can get that conduit in the ground, get your fiber straight, and do you and 3 or 4 of your neighbors right there together. So
exactly. Yep.
I guess the biggest thing, the biggest thing for the citizens to know is if there's a problem in that multi-step process, just make sure that, just know that you can't jump from 3 to 6 without 4 and 5 happening. So it's got to go step by step. If something happens, then it will prevent the next step from happening on the date that it's supposed to. If during that process, for example, Jason, when they got out there and determined that they couldn't pull the fiber and put the termination box on the outside of your house, at that point, don't assume that they're going to do their job. Just make sure that you reach back out to your sales rep or reach out a broadband inquiry form on the website. We can try to help you with that. But just know that that's, kind of at that point, it's between you and the contractors or subcontractors. So we'll do what we can to help you resolve that. But just don't assume that, contractor A is going to tell contractor B, hey, there's a problem. We appreciate you reaching out to us, Jason, and letting us know as soon as you knew that there was a problem. And hopefully they'll get that conduit replaced and get it installed.
Yep, I'll let you know for next meeting. Thank you.
Do you and did they give you an approximate time or a 4-hour window for the install?
I think it was just 8 to noon, but it's been a couple of weeks, so I forget now. But I figure they'd be here all day with 3 different houses.
Yeah, so that's another thing for the citizens to realize that on your actual install day, they will give you a window, and it's a 4-hour window, which some companies will give even an 8-hour window. But you won't have a specific 10 o'clock install because they're doing multiple installs back to back. So it could be anywhere within that 4-hour window that that they actually get there to do the install. But again, if you have any questions, Jason, what I would like to do is get a copy of that PowerPoint from you, and we'll make that available on the website so people can actually go and review it, if that's okay with you, as well as they can review it here on YouTube.
That's fine. It'll be in your inbox in a second, because that's the one thing about having BreezeLine is I can do large emails and not have to worry about it slowing down my my internet.
All right. Any other questions that anyone has about the process from start to finish? Again, we do have some contacts within BreezeLine at different stages of that multi-step process. So if you have any issues, feel free to either call or go on the county website, use that orange button. That's a real easy way to get in touch with us. If you fill out the forms that pop up when you hit that orange button, that'll give us all the information that we need to be able to hand it off to BreezeLine and get the issue resolved for you. All right, Jason.
David, can I show one more quick thing if you don't mind?
Sure, it's
all right.
Up to you, sir.
I know this is extremely technical, and I just want to at least show this. This is the control. This is my control, my personal one that I have for my network here at the house. As you can see, I've got two different internets here. I've got BreezeLine as your top line, and then my backup is Starlink. And as you can see, green all the way across for BreezeLine. The way that my network runs, it runs a continual test every so many seconds to test what my download is, what my upload is, and what the ping out to the internet, what the responsiveness is out to the internet. As you can see, green is all the way across for BreezeLine. Starlink, if you look, high latency detected at 8:05 last night. The average latency, which is your time for you to get to the internet and back, was 29 millionths of a second, which is extremely fast, don't get me wrong, but it's above the threshold of my network. So it has it at 29 milliseconds, and the maximum was 35. As you look, Starlink went green, which meant it was within side of the threshold, but it then went back at around 8:55 p.m. and then it went back green and so forth, so on. And you can see all night long it was having the yellow, a high latency to the internet. And this shows you the difference between BreezeLine being a consistent download and the Starlink with the high latency at these times. Now, again, it's not extreme high latency when you think about, regular satellite internet and how long some of that takes. But this is also, comparing the two, a direct comparison. As you can see, I'm currently downloading a Windows update for my machine while I'm actually on this telephone or on this Zoom meeting, and it's not affecting it at all. And I did that on purpose because I wanted to be able to show that I'm taking a large Windows update at this point in time, and it's not actually affecting my ability to be able to do business or conduct this telephone call in any way, shape, or form. If you look at the overall statistics of the internet, where was it? This is Starlink here. It's not really doing much, where the BreezeLine is the one actually taking most of my network traffic. But if I get into the overall speed test, it was running continuously 1.5 gigabits every single time it's testing. So I'm not seeing giant fluctuations, where on Starlink, you can see giant fluctuations. This morning, it was really good. It was 400 megabits on Starlink. But then 20 minutes later, it was at 200 megabits. So it fluctuates back and forth a lot, where with BreezeLine, it is staying basically right what I purchased, the amount of bandwidth that I actually purchased. So I'm not seeing those fluctuations. So I just wanted to show this. I know this is a more technical insight, but I just wanted to show some of the overall, what are some of the items that we actually have. And you can see the last run of this is at 6:55 p.m. My download speed was 1.53 gigabits. My upload speed was 1.58 gigabits. I purchased the 1.5 gigabit plan, and my ping time out to the internet, which is the time that it takes for me in Frog Level to reach out to the speed test server and have them respond to me, was 5 millionths of a second. Where if you look at Starlink, you're looking at 30 to 40 milliseconds. So you can see what the response time is for that. So just wanted to give a little bit more technical overview of this. Is there any questions I can answer to this committee on this?
And not to get too technical, but with the Starlink connection, that is our recommended backup or temporary solution. What you're looking at there is being probably more picky than the average user would even be concerned with that yellow going to green back and forth. But it does indicate that, yeah, Starlink works, and it works way better than any other satellite. But it does not work as good as a cable or fiber internet connection. So just know that. So if you're in a bind and you need a temporary solution, Starlink works, and it works well. But long term, if you've got a Starlink connection and you have a Breeze Line connection available to you, from this committee, our recommendation has always been a fiber or cable internet connection being your first choice. So just know that. But I guess that's pretty much it as far as the difference between the two. Know that you've got the 30 to 40 millisecond ping time on Starlink. That you go to the geosynchronous satellites like HughesNet, and those ping times will generally fluctuate between 800 to, I've seen as high as 12 or 1300 milliseconds. So it's a lot slower.
So just so you know, 1300 milliseconds would actually be 1.3 seconds for it to transmit from your house to outer space to Earth, out to the internet, and then back to just so that way you can understand or gauge that.
Yeah, and what you as a user would see is I click a link in a website and I wait, and then it pops up. So on a geosynchronous satellite like HughesNet, for example, you click and you wait. Starlink, more responsive, you click and it's fast. But then you compare that to fiber and there's absolutely no wait whatsoever. By 5 milliseconds, you don't even pick that up. So that's the difference between the connections that are out there and available now. And that's the reason why this committee continues to recommend either a fiber or cable connection to the internet over the satellites. Are there any other questions? All right, I'll turn it back over to you, Jason.
Well, back to me. You want me to share out the agenda again?
If you could.
The last thing we had on here, as long as there's no old business left, then we want to go over the update on the BEAD funding.
So,
project.
So real quick, we won't take but a second or two to do this. We were directed by the board to investigate other options to offer a solution to a group of homes on Wrightsville Road area besides the Starlink that was recommended by the BEAD program. We're still waiting to hear back from Breeze Line. Since they're building projects in the area, we'll reach out to them first, and depending on how they respond, we'll determine our next steps. Also, as far as BEAD, hopefully in the January-February meeting that we have of the Broadband Advisory Committee, we're planning on having the provider that was selected for the BEAD project in Western Carolina, out in the Beaver Dam area, come in and actually speak a little bit about her company and maybe give a rough idea of what the actual monthly cost will be to those residents once that service is connected. So that's what we've got on BEAD. But go ahead, Jason.
Is there any other new business that anybody has? And I apologize that it's been a long meeting tonight, but I think there's a lot of good information that we want to get out there for everybody. So thank you for sticking in there. All right. If not, the next meeting would be January 19th at 6 o'clock.
I did get 126 right, Mr. Thomas.
Yes, you did.
Now I know that the 19th is Martin Luther King Day.
So let's talk about that. I mean, if it is a holiday, do we want to reschedule? I think it would probably be good.
I think last year we moved it to the Monday afterward.
The 29th or the 26th?
Yes, whatever that is.
Okay.
let's see, that would be, we'd move it from the 19th to the 26th, and the 26th works for me.
26 works for me too.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we move the January meeting from the 19th to the 26th.
All right. Does anybody, do we need to make a motion on that, or are we just good with, does anybody have any problems with moving it to the 26th?
I'll make a second if you need one just to make it official, but
Okay.
we don't really need to.
All right. All in favor of the 26th? Say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. All right. Just so that way we can be official. I don't know whether we had to do it, but January 26, 2026 will be our next meeting. And again, our very first meeting that we had of this committee was January 20th, 2021. So, it's been a long time coming, but we're starting to see some extreme progress at this point.
Jason, I move that we adjourn.
All right.
Second.
All in favor? I'll see you on January 26th.
See you next year.
All right. See you next year. Thank you, everybody.
Have a good holiday, everyone.
Thanks.